Hello, hello. How are
Hello,
you?
hello. Hey, my name is Samir Ljuma. I'm a cinematographer. Uh, I did, together with my colleague, the documentary called Honeyland.
We both saw your movie and we loved it. So I wanted to talk with you, really, both of us, because there are so many layers in that movie.
Okay, we can start.
So let's just start. How did you met her? Who is she? Let's talk about her. Let's just introduce
Yeah, right.
to our.
Yeah, we can talk about her. Her name is Atidje Muratova. It's our main character in the movie Honeyland. Who, if you didn't saw the movie, I'm not gonna spoiler anything, but we try to say that she's the last honeybee hunter, or let's be more precise, she's one of the last probably people who are taking care about the nature and about the wild bees with her very simple but philosophy that probably every one of us should try to understand or implement, that is half for you, half for me. That is one of the quotations in the movie that when we met her and when we started shooting, it catches us as a motive to try to make a movie about that, about equal share of benefit, let's say, with the way how she treats the bees and the nature. So how we met her? We met her accidentally. We didn't plan to make a feature-length documentary on this topic. It was completely different purpose in the beginning. We were searching about the top. I mean, we were commissioned to do a nature conservation project video about the project that was run by Swiss Development Agency and Pharmachem. So one of the topics was we were exploring. I mean, the directors were exploring and researching the river Bregalnica, which is part of that project. It's one part of Macedonia, which is let's say eco-stable. There are not so much pollution. There's no that much reason to for the polluting the environment, and that's the region where we discovered Atidje actually. Um, I know that when the director came back from the village with the first photograph stills of Atidje and the village, I got so excited I couldn't wait for an entire week to go and to meet her and to start just working on shooting that video at the beginning. That was the intention. Um, and yeah, and later on, it took us 3 years. We spent 3 years together. Not entire 3 years, but like 100 days during 3 years, where we had possibility to capture all the moments which are in the movie and which are not in the movie. So yeah, that's how basically we met her. But if you ask her, how did we met her, how did we found her, she will tell you, no, they didn't found me, I found them, which is kind of true, because when they were when my colleagues were there to shoot some vultures and to uh, some nature photography, they discovered these beehives in the rocks, which obviously somebody was taking care about them. But at the same moment, the village close by was really abandoned. There was no signs of anyone living there. And of course, because it's so quiet, you can even hear the bees when they're swarming or when they're working. Atidje heard probably the crew that somebody is in the village already. So she found them literally, and that's how they met each other. In the beginning, we didn't know because in the beginning, I think her brother, older brother, because she has two brothers, was the one that we were meant to film because he was the one who was, because he was the more active at the moment with the bees. And since we didn't, we just wanted to shoot how this type of beekeeping is going on. We were planning to start shooting with him because he was more active.
Most of the documentaries I've filmed have turned into the ones they were planned to be. But I'm also aware throughout the creative process how things evolve. And I'm just fascinated that so was there a discussion as the film evolved with the people who gave you the funding, or was it sort of something that you just sort of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like, yeah, it's a delicate thing, but it's a very powerful story.
Yes, that's very interesting, very good question, because I remember that because the people who funded us are people who are, let's say, NGO, ungovernmental organization, who are dealing with tight schedules, with budgets. So if you don't fulfill or complete your project, you're not eligible to apply for next funding. So basically, we were pressured to finish this video in 3 months. How we managed to justify to get more money, because we really needed to continue shooting, and more time, was because we really wanted, because we already shot some material so we can show, and what we were missing was entire cycle of this honey production or beekeeping. So that was the first kind of justification to say, yeah, you know, like, we missed something in September. We cannot film it now because it's not possible. We have to wait till the next September to be able to capture, or, you know. So that was the beginning, and then we just managed to keep going and shooting, but also we started filming her relation with her mother slowly, because we found it fascinating and very interesting how she was dealing with the mother. And of course, it was a moment of recognizing, or, you know, we tried, because we don't understand Turkish, so we couldn't basically understand what they were talking about. But the way how they were interacting, it was like, we see that the mother was a queen bee who never leave the beehive, and Atije is the bee who is working and providing everything for them. So that was why we started shooting with them, and then the family appeared. So in the beginning, and several times when we were visiting, when they settled in the village, we were not filming because it was not the first time that they're in the village. So they were already coming seasonally the last couple of years before we arrived there. And they were already in not good relations with Atije due to some events previously happened. So we didn't wanted to shoot with them, because they also were very suspicious, because we were Atije's friends or guests, so they were not in good contact. And then Atije was not very keen for their presence, because she told us what happened before. And so it took us a while to gain the trust and the way how we will proceed further in filming with them as well.
Mm-hmm.
So gaining trust has
Yeah.
to be like the biggest thing you could possibly do to get this film right, because we've got so many questions, but like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, in documentary, I think the most powerful tool is the trust with the subjects. Because if you don't build a trust, you will not be able to get all the moments which are mostly intimate, or revealing for the story that you can use them later. So which requires patience and time and honesty at the first point. So when we met her, and I remember she was saying like, I was always dreaming of a TV crew to come and to film me when I'm walking on it. So she was very open, and she's really lovely person to work with, very spontaneous and very easy, and she loved people. So it was not that hard to build a trust, because like she also saw our intentions, that it's very honest, and that we don't want to exploit, but we want to just be present there and see what we can get from her life while being present there and supporting. It didn't took us much time to build the trust. It was much harder with the family and the kids, but as well, I will say the time we spent, and they accommodated to our presence in the village. So slowly, we kind of become a mediator for their reconciliation, which later on was not possible due to the events that happened and were part of the movie.
Somehow the job is to capture the soul, right? To capture the honesty in them. But if you turn up with all the gear and like with no respect, you'll never get it. Because you're a cinematographer, right? And so you work closely with a director, a sound recordist.
We didn't have sound recorders. We were just two directors, two cinematographers. We had like two directors.
Okay.
Yeah, Ljuma and Tamara, who were strictly directors. Ljuma was a producer also. So, and me and Fahmy Daud, the other cinematographer, we were responsible for the cinematography and to capture the moments, which was really good. People are asking me, like how it is to work with two cinematographers, like it was really, really a crucial part that this crew was somehow connected and we made it together, or we get into this project together. We had one short documentary that we worked on. That's how we gathered all together. It was called Lake of Apples. It's also about nature conservation of one of the oldest lakes in Europe, Prespa Lake, which showed us that we were tiny with the time and the budget, so we really needed to do something for a very short period of time with available budget. So I just joined the crew. They were already together, and it was really kind of a bond that we kind of figure out that we could work together. And that's how we continued into the Honeyland story. And I think for the Honeyland story, it was really crucial that we were four of us, because somehow everybody with their own personal skills and characters just enriched the process and gave it the possibility this to be done. Like, I don't know, Tamara and her film school, she was just graduating, directing, so she was more into this writing the script, like predicting what could possibly happen, which will tell the story. Ljubo is also a very good photographer, so he could also recognize some of the locations that we could possibly use for filming, but also his skills for, he was mostly wild photographer, and he's really into biology and wildlife. He could probably he know what time of the day certain species could be possibly captured, like me as a cinematographer who don't know anything about that could wait for years and will be not be able to capture. So it was, and for example, my colleague, like we were really as a very good and strong team that we worked in this project without any problems, let's say. And also because we didn't have enough time when we are going and visiting Bekirli, the village, due to the many technical reasons and logistics. Two cinematographers was a very good idea and two directors, because we go and we split, like one couple goes and film one situation, and we are working with the mother and artist, let's say. And if something big is happening there, the director will just jump and call us, and we would just merge and then continue shooting with two cameras. And yeah, that was the way how we were working.
Well, it was the right way, because you didn't really appear to miss too much. And I know how frustrating that is. And two cameras is obviously the best way to tell the story, because you're not hiding from what you haven't shot, and you can get reactions and you can get
you build a scene immediately, you don't have to but for example, there was a situation when one of the kids who built a relationship with Atije, he was always kind of teasing us with many things, like for example, he will always say yeah, the cow is giving birth. So we will jump, we will go, and he was obviously pranking us. And one day we were also sitting, and he said like, yeah, the cow is, and I was like, yeah, it's another prank, no, really, but okay, like you never know. So we went there and it was happening, like, so we grabbed the cameras, we started shooting because it was happening. The scene is inside the movie. But then, like I just put the tripod and everything, because we had like two lenses only, one wide zoom, which is quite wide and like 28 70, I suppose, and one 70-200. So, and then I want to start shooting, and I see that because we had a lunch break, and probably Tamara or somebody of the directors removed the card from the camera to transfer to see some footage, and they didn't put back. And when this happened, you just grab the camera, you thought that it's inside, and yeah. So luckily, my colleague, that's why I'm saying this. It was really good, because like you get covered if something really is happening when you have two cameras and two cinematographers.
That's the bottom line. I know for a fact that you have more patience than me, because that requires, and especially because you don't understand the language, I'm fully aware that means you have to keep rolling all the time. You can't even decide what might work and what might, other than body language, because
body language, and only that was something that, I mean, my colleague, he understands Turkish, but the way how they are communicating is in this some ancient way of conversation, so he couldn't understand all the conversations. Or when we ask Atije, can you translate us what you were talking about, with her limited kind of language skills in Macedonian language, she wouldn't be able to express herself that we get the core of the essence of the conversation that they had. So later on in the editing, we discovered so much these gems that we were like, oh my God, look what she's told to her when she asked her this. For example, useful to be part of the conversation that we filmed a year ago, which was, like already processed, let's say.
And you could connect.
Yeah, you can connect, like you filmed a year ago conversation about the life and why she's not married, and then, like a year after, they repeat the conversation and they manage to touch some other aspects of that, which could easily be connected as a one scene. So yeah, so yeah, it was really, the patience was very important. I know that we were keep going and filming, but it was like quite long period, and we started even joking with the director Ljubomir, like, okay, please tell us that you because Atij and Ljubomir are kind of look-alike, our main character and the director, and we were like, come on, please tell us that you discovered your mother, you know, like, and you just use us as excuse to be present there, and you know, like, well, no, of course it was a joke, but yeah, you know, like, it was a process that we never knew where it leads. We only have a good feeling that we are doing something which has a potential, and story-wise and message, you know, like that we wanted to send, and but I mean, at least I was not aware. Maybe the directors were really aware, you know, but they were not sharing it with us, which is also legit.
Okay, but we could see that you had such a trust in each other and confidence, because you could be in a room with her, like filming her in those like so intimate situations. I don't know if we could see that. So lovely. But another thing is you were caring for her, and we could see that in the movie too. And she's a caring person, you know, she sings to mother bees and to all species, I suppose. She's somebody who sings to nature. That's something that got me really from the movie.
I mean, yes, we really, you know, like, we become like a family. So even we stopped shooting 2 years ago, the tides are still really big, that we as a documentarist, we are not meant to continue living the life of our subjects, you know, but somehow we managed to try to make their life much easier. And for that purpose, for example, we know that, you know, like, we will not expect earnings from movie, you know, like, I don't know if somebody earned out of documentary movies ever. But we established a NGO which tried to make a campaign, because the visibility of the movie was really present, you know, like all the festivals and awards. There were so many people around the world who will want to see. So we made a kind of a donation process that we could support the life of the kids, or education, or to improve the living conditions to our main characters, and not only Atije, but also the Sam family and the kids. So we manage as we can do, you know. So we managed to buy her a very small house, which she chose in the village, where she have cousins and relatives. We managed to renovate inside to make a proper living condition. And I mean, comparing to the living conditions where we found her and where she feels home, to be honest, she's still there. I hope that this winter she will spend more time in the house, even though there's so many things happening, you know, like the people who don't know the real story, who don't know, you know, they can just, and, you know, like this, everybody can comment, everybody has a voice with the new media, and everything, or easily you can manipulate, even, you know, you can just for the couple of likes more, you can just publish something which is not true, and then take the entire story in different directions. That recently happened, you know, but this doesn't yeah, you know, you feel kind of that is kind of injustice, that it's harming not only the filmmakers but also our main protagonist, because the biggest pressure is on her, because, you know, like, people think that she earned I don't know how much money, which is not true, you know, like, we are trying to
She must
support.
live in Hollywood now, right?
Yeah, like she was on the Oscars, she must have a millions, like, which is not true. None of us has a luxury life, like none of the crew members. So, but it's a life. People could comment and say whatever they want, which obviously like influence her personally, because she's still back in that village where people after all this can talk and make all these stories around, and which influence her as well. And we cannot fight against that, like.
And you were telling me about that tourist tour, not tour.
Yeah, I mean, like, like she's not our belonging, like she agreed that we can use her name and picture for the movie, but like she has her own life, her own destiny, which we hope that we manage to improve her living conditions. At least she's amazingly respectable among everyone in the country, and I'm sure around the world, which helps her to have a much more easy life, let's say. I'm talking about, if you go at the doctor, like, at least you will have a chance to be treated equally like everyone else. Like, I'm sure that many of the people who now find her as a goddess, if they saw her on the street and if she tried to sell them a honey, I'm sure that they wouldn't buy it from her. Like, it's all this prejudice and stereotypes that are present, which put certain group of people to be more marginalized or to be marginalized. And I'm very glad that there is a voice for this kind of people. And the documentarist, through these simple stories, they managed to brought this group of people out of the margins, like to be more visible. Because the question, like, I know when we released the movie after, especially when we got the Oscar nomination, when more and more people were keen to go and see the movie, even it was like already for a year present on the let's say in the cinemas or on the festivals. But these cinema goers or festival goers are already converted people, so like, you don't have to work with them. Like, the target is like, let's say my mom, who will probably watch only the Oscar nominated movies, and then that was the main goal, why we were so happy for this nomination, because the story was managed to end up at the places where it should end up, and recognize the importance of this story.
Because because it's absolutely, she is like a marginal person, but doing some life supporting job.
I mean, we have to learn a lot from her.
She's sustaining there like an ecosystem.
Yes,
and we treat her like a vulnerable person, and she just understands like no one.
Yeah, that's why you mentioned this tourist tour, which we didn't find very. We were not very happy, because we know what else could be done. If people can recognize the value of her knowledge and the skills that she has. Like, through the NGO that we formed, we had so much ideas, but unfortunately, we are filmmakers. We are not people who are managing NGO and know how to, write all these projects. And we want to make movies, but like, it's good, and we don't know really why nobody picked up this as a good example to try to make really some educational project in the village of Bekirlia. You don't need to have electricity, you can make, like we were living there for 3 years. People from all around the world can go and learn about self-sustainable beekeeping, which can save the world, can save the like, can provide for everyone. Which is something that was much better than to offer a hiking tour for some couple of euros for a person who wants to just meet Atije, and then advertising it as a Atije. At the end of the tour, you will meet Atije, and she will give you, she will tell you the fortune in the coffee. You know, like she's a not fortune teller. Even she wants to do this, but this is just something that it's for fun. You know, she can talk about bees. She can talk about how and why the bees are important. You can bring experts. She can just be there. She loves people. You know, if you bring her life in the village, she will be happy till the end of the life. But you know, like something more sustainable, something more which everybody can benefit out of it.
Because her knowledge is precious.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah, it's very precious. And I'm glad that she managed to influence, or let's say some of her relatives or cousins or nephews, like the son of her brother. He really showed interest to help her, but also, you know, like it's something that she can make a living out of it. Absolutely. After the movie, everybody can recognize them, and everybody can recognize the quality of the product that they can brought to the market. And it's not the same price like any other honey jar that you can buy on the market for less than 3 euros, you know, at least in Macedonia. You know, like now you can find buyers who will value the honey. And again, due to the philosophy, half for me, half for you, she never get more than half from the bees. She always feed the bees with the honey that they produce. So it's not like exploitation, you know, it's just taking care. She know what is sufficient for the bees to survive, but also for her to survive.
No, it's essential knowledge, because 75% of all insects disappeared in the last 50 years. So she's doing, as I said, essential.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, and she's not the one who should be advertised to give you the fortune in the cup of coffee, you know. I mean, I can guess, you know, it's just opportunity, you know, like okay, people can blame the filmmakers as well that we take advantage of that, you know, but which, you know, like you can consider like that, but at least we show her story. You know, like
authentically, you know, and
yes, and we didn't, you know, like we didn't film her when she's giving fortune telling, you know, like she also enjoys singing, you know, people want, you know, like she even was brought to the studio and she recorded her you know, first songs. And you know, I'm so glad, because I will always support something that will make her happy, you know, like even if it's a fortune telling in the cup of coffee. For her, that was yes, when probably people who organize or offered, because it will bring people to her life. She really loved people. Can you imagine? She was really lonely in the last who knows how many years. Growing in that village, who was abandoned for the last 40 years. Probably she remembers only the childhood when this village was still alive, when she managed to learn to speak, you know, like just to tell, she speaks 5 languages. She can understand and speak the languages which were present in the village, because it was very multicultural, multi-ethnic village in the time. So yeah, I mean,
wow, how impressive is that story.
What would a small solution that you found along your way, being who you are, living your life, not really the same way a lot of people live theirs, but what's one little thing that you've picked up along the way that just, I don't know, it's just like, yeah, why does everyone not do this?
I mean, I wouldn't expect everyone to do this. This will probably never happen, unfortunately. But I can say that one of the lead messages with Honeyland was, if one breaks the rule, everyone pays the price. And, you know, if we understand this thing that came out of the story and out of our experience, and the experience that people could feel through watching the movie, and the message the movie sends, if we pick up that line only, and if we implement, we already are on the good way for sustaining the planet. The humans made so much mistakes that we are in this situation that we are now, and we are talking about this intensively. You know, there are so much movements about, it's been for decades now that we are, you know, scientists are talking about global warming, and, you know, like where it leads, and all, and, you know, like, and still we don't learn the lesson until, you know, like they're you know, like we are concentrated on a war, economic and migrants, but, you know, like we are very close to, and somewhere in the world is already happening that the climate you know, migrants are existing. You know, that one day we could all be in that you know, in their shoes.
It could be
So,
next year. You know what I mean?
yeah, it could be next year. You know, we are now, you know, we are facing 2020,
Yeah.
you know, like out of nowhere, you know, in the March, you know, it was already happening somewhere there, and we didn't get the message how, you know, what does it mean, you know, because it was not influencing our life.
Still.
And even now, when it influenced, you know, this pandemic, we are still behaving like nothing is happening. Or at least some people, you know, we are still not learning the lesson.
Yeah, we are waiting for our old normality to come back, back.
Like that, you know, like, but keeping doing our habits, you know, like, okay, we are kind of here, but like, yeah, you know, like, it's not, you know, or even if it's, you know, like, okay, yeah, my cousin, you know, he was sick, but he went through the COVID very easily, you know, like, why should I be afraid? But nobody thinks and see the real cases of the tragedy, you know, what is happening. Like, what is the message I picked up, let's say, through my work on Honeyland? It's that, you know, like, if one breaks the rule, we all gonna pay the price.
In biology, you will say, if one species is missed, ecosystem will fail.
Yeah, that's also one of the
you made an ecosystem. That's why that came, you know, and touched so many souls, because it's a product of the ecosystem. It's a care and connection that you can see, and something that Dan calls responsible filmmaking.
Yes, I mean, you know, there are so many films existing who are touching this story. And we know that Honeyland will not change the world, but at least will change someone's opinions or behavior on the way. And even if touched 3 of us only, it's a success in the entire picture. You know, like, that's my belief. And I'm very optimistic, you know.
It's a human
I'm very optimistic.
But just imagine how many people, if it's three, just beautiful, who would love to learn to sing to
the beat.
Beat. I would love to. I would really love to. If she ever organized a course,
yeah, right.
I would really love to learn to sing to Honeybee Queen. But please.
Can you imagine when she was telling us? Because, you know, like, usually when we sit at night, when we cannot shoot anymore, when we are tired or nothing is happening, we are sitting, and that's the moment when we will learn the most. Which we will wait for months for the story she told us months before to be able to capture, because, you know, like, she will just recall of the process when she's trying to capture the new swarm, the new queen bee, and she will tell us that she's singing to the queen bee, and, you know, how you gonna capture the queen bee with a sing until you experience that, and then you realize actually it exists and it's happening.
And then you watch the other family with the other approach, which we
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
we just watch them just being stung, and it's just like it's almost like masculine versus feminine, isn't it? It's like this
I
guy
mean,
like bossing his family around, like everything's about like getting it done, and it doesn't matter how it's done, just do it. And she just sings.
yeah, it's all about the approach, how you approach the nature. You know, that's how the nature will treat you. You know, it's the same with the bees.
And the
I
care.
mean, we follow, yeah, we follow some of the advices that she gives us. That's why we never had a protection gear from the bees while shooting the entire movie.
Wow.
Which on camera is insane, right? Because anyone who knows anything about bees is it comes with you have an
Yeah, special.
But can you share advices? What were her advices? So,
I mean, yeah, she said never wear black clothes.
Okay.
And don't eat garlic, which was very strange for us because we thought, this is some kind of a mythology, you know, like the vampires are afraid of this, but probably it has something with that. But also, you know, like if you have a bees on you, don't make any fast movements, you know, they're not going to bite you.
Yeah.
They're not meant to bite us, you know, like. So, I mean, I will tell you one anecdote. We were already shooting with Atijem in Bekirlia, and we didn't have any protection gear, but you know, in the beginning we saw that she also doesn't have any protection gear, that she can, you know, work with bare hands, and most of the time she was not wearing the veil, protecting veil, which was in the beginning it was our, let's say, intervention, because the first moment when we start shooting, we were shooting only visuals to tell the story about a beekeeper. And for us, the beekeeping symbol is that outfit. You know, how you're gonna visually present the beekeeper if they don't have, you know, only that, you know, like only that hat. And it becomes a prop during the filming. Not that she really used it. But and then, because I told you that we were shooting this nature conservation project, and we went to shoot when this NGO invited all the diplomatic corps to show the success of the project. And the project was about, they had like 30 something new beekeepers, which were equipped and educated how to become a beekeepers, with all these beehives, you know, these boxes and modern equipment and all these antibiotics that they're feeding, and you know, like all this, which now the beekeepers are dealing with, which we never followed till the end. But you know, like I went there to shoot that ceremony, let's say, and they gave to everyone, all the guests, the protection suit. And I was like, oh my God, it's, you know, it's so hot, you know, I'm not going to wear this because already a year I'm shooting with the bees and I've never been stung. That was the only day when I got stung. but it was good because I realized I'm not allergic, and then I could just continue the way how we were.
You were wearing black though, right?
Oh, you needed a guy.
I don't remember. Most probably, yeah. But I'm sure, you know, because it was so much people around these beehives that I was the only unprotected, you know, like, and it was not just calm people with the bees.
Singing to be.
Yes, or just calm and observing.
Yeah, I know.
I was just thinking about like 3 years in the wilderness, effectively. And you must have had a lot of time to just observe nature, you know, in those moments where you're waiting for something and you put the camera down, or, you know, as you said, you're just sort of tired. And what would be one thing that had immediately come to mind about being in that environment? Like, just comment on being in nature.
I mean, I will share there were at least 3 things that come on my mind.
Fantastic.
How powerful the nature is. Like this village, the old graveyards of the village are basically thrown apart. now you can see, above you, like 10, 15 meters, you're passing through the canyon, which was made by the nature. So the waters came, flooded, and they destroyed entire graveyards. So you have like kind of two mountains, that is also at that region. And you can see that at certain point, nature just take its own way how to shape the soil. And the other thing is, when we face the sickness of the cows, like how, like this you can lose a lot. Or I mean, it's not in the movie, there is only one sequence when she's chasing the wolf, that was the situation when there were wolves in the village. So I mean, really, we are part of this. Maybe not when you're living in the urban environment, but even like now I just received a gift flower, and I'm fascinated how this flower is blossoming, and every kind of a minute you're observing, and it's completely different shape. And
narratives. You're interested in narratives. We're interested in narratives. Everybody, ultimately, humans are defined by either someone else's or their own narrative. What makes a good one, and what makes one that works for a film?
I mean, what makes a good narrative? For the film, for documentary, I think the most important is the character and their story. You can find a very good story, but if there is no person to tell the story, then the narrative will be weak.
No, I agree. Okay, so the next, and sorry, and what makes it interesting to someone on one side of the world and another side of the world, and with all different languages? What is it that?
I mean, what is I mean, we are all kind of same, no matter of our differences. It was very good to experience on the festivals around the world the reactions of the audience when they're watching our movie, and you see how the universal is the story about nature, no matter how very simplified or very tiny little life somewhere out of in the middle of nowhere. Can brought such a huge topic that can reveal a lot and can make us understand. So I think that is a crucial in the narrative, when you have a story which can touches universal values, universal message, universal topic, universal message. Otherwise, it will be very interesting only for the anthropologist, who wants to find this kind of movie as anthropological document and not social, environmental.
Yeah. But my question was going to be, how can filmmaking change the world? And you touched on it.
Yeah, I touched it. It's definitely changing, but not the world, but individuals, which are part of the world.
That's the world.
And it's enough. There will be no movie who will change, that we stopped all the evolution or everything that is happening, and the negative part of it. But it will motivate people to stop doing something to harm and to destroy, let's say.
All steps in the right direction.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do and what you're trying to do are all we're all the same thing, and we're just trying to have the conversation. We're trying to enlighten areas that people aren't aware of, and just the fact that we've had this conversation about that octopus, you know, in this film, and like all of these things, people will watch them more, and people talk, you know, people love to talk, and when they've got good stories instead of bad stories, they always prefer to tell the good ones. So
Yeah, right.
So we're trying to feed people with better ones, like you are.
If you find a good story, now the equipment is not something that make the story, but you can manage to shoot with what is available. And we didn't feel ashamed to talk about it, because I think it's really motivating the young filmmakers, for that there is no excuse not to film. We all have somehow a phone, you know, in the pocket, which can be useful in many situations, but try to shoot and to capture the story.
That's it from me.
Hvala ti puno. Thank you so much.
Hvala i vama. Bye. Thanks a lot. I mean, recently I saw a very interesting movie that I really like and I recommend. It's Octopus Teacher. That was a really nice way to get introduced to the octopus the way we should be. It's a survival instinct, and the way how they can manage to adapt to the certain situation is really reminds me that very close to our human nature, no matter if it's deep in the ocean. Really something that I found it very delicious. I will consider that ever that I will be able to try again in my life octopus in the menu.